Welcome everyone to this August 14th edition of What's Happening in Crypto with Crypto Lark, broadcasting to you from New Zealand and bringing you all of the latest from the crypto world and beyond. Today's top stories: Saudi Arabia cracks down on Bitcoin, fiat currencies are a scam, and the latest on Bitmain Cash. Bitcoin, $6,300, stabilizing a bit in the last 24 hours, but still down 10% on the week. The altcoin market, though, is what is really grabbing everyone's attention, with many of the top altcoins being absolutely savaged recently. One of the few exceptions to this is Stellar Lumens, which has only lost 6% in its dollar valuation this week. Looking at the charts, Bitcoin to US dollars, we see that it was oversold a bit a few days ago, but that we haven't seen a very strong sell pressure actually happening on Bitcoin. We are seeing a relative stabilization happening for the Bitcoin markets, but it's a very, very different story. When we look at the altcoins, we can see that Ethereum has been oversold again and again and again, continuing a strong downward trend with strong volume working against Ethereum as people are continuing to sell their Ethereum. I would imagine that a lot of ICOs are cashing out. We do know that there has been at least 100,000 Ethereum sold in the last 30 days by ICOs trying to cash out. I think that would be a much larger number if we were to have actually access to the full data of all ICOs and the Ethereum that they have been selling on the markets. Definitely a lot of pressure there. And if we look at Ripple as an example, this is just very indicative of the market overall, where we do see, again, that strong pressure on altcoins being oversold on the Bollinger, oversold on the RSI, strong selling volume as people are getting out and either taking their USD and running or moving into Bitcoin. Over in Saudi Arabia, Bitcoin trading is illegal, says the Saudi watchdog. Nice one, Saudi Arabia. Great. Just add this to the list of screwed up things that happen in Saudi Arabia. Beheading people in the public square for sorcery? Sweet, Saudi Arabia. I mean, hey, at least they let women drive recently. That's a great move in the right direction. But at the same time, they'll be executing many of the women who actually fought for the right to get women to drive. So that's a thing over in Saudi Arabia. To see Saudi Arabia coming down on Bitcoin, not surprised at all. Very unfortunate situation for Saudi citizens. The Saudi royal family, though, I would not be surprised if they are actually into Bitcoin themselves and are buying Bitcoin, but forbidding their own citizens from doing it. It would be the right kind of double standards and hypocrisy that we know the Saudi ruling class is famous for. Nick Szabo commenting on the Bitcoin ETF that it might cause more problems than it is worth. Nick Szabo, of course, a famous early Bitcoin developer, and I tend to agree with him on his statement here, because what he's really saying is that we're inviting Wall Street in, guys. That's what the Bitcoin ETF means. And yes, sure, it's going to bring a lot of new money into crypto, this institutional money that we've been told we need to court in order to get in. And I really feel it's just a sign of the times with the crypto markets, where we become so desperate for something to happen in the bear market that we're trying to get Wall Street desperately to come in. Please, Wall Street, come and save us. Well, Wall Street's not here to save us. In fact, Wall Street, to an extent, I imagine, is behind a lot of what's going on right now in terms of market manipulation. Wall Street's not our friend, guys, and that's something that we do need to remember. Bitcoin, with or without an ETF, is still Bitcoin. It is a fundamental evolution and revolution in the way that we understand money. It is censorship resistant. Anyone in the world can access it. Bitcoin is amazing, whether we have an ETF or not. Crypto hedge funds. There's a lot of them, and there's a lot more coming. A surprising record pace of new hedge funds have been launched in 2018. Now, the numbers here are quite surprising. Total of 466 cryptocurrency investment funds, most of them 255 being set up as hedge funds, and of those, 195 are set up as venture capital funds and 16 represent private equity funds. Now, in the 2018, we've already seen 165 new cryptocurrency funds set up. So if you're looking at the markets, and this is something I mentioned in my video the other day, you have to try and think a bit like the big guys are thinking. Because all these cryptocurrency investment funds, they've been setting up during the bear market. They know what's going on. They understand the fundamental value of Bitcoin and of cryptocurrencies and the underlying technology of blockchain. That is why they are investing. They see that this is a new market full of potential. And that is exactly why all these funds are starting, all these venture capital funds are starting, all these companies are building the picks and the shovels, so to speak, of the crypto gold rush, if you will. Rich Dad, Poor Dad author, bullish on Bitcoin, says that the US dollar is a scam. USD is a funny one because when you start to look at it and think about it, we've got a situation where a small group of people at the Federal Reserve decide on the emission of dollars and they continually inflate the currency and it's backed by nothing. Sounds kind of scammy when you think of it that way. But I am very bullish that he is bullish on Bitcoin because, of course, Bitcoin is deflationary and has all these amazing attributes to it. And you have to remember that fiat currencies are controlled by governments via their close connections with the banks. And we are seeing this play out right now in Turkey, where people are experiencing, again, capital controls. And this has happened the world over in many countries where people never thought this was going to happen. If you talk to people in Cyprus a couple years ago, they would have never imagined that the banks would have come in and stolen money from their bank accounts. But that's exactly what happened. Now we see over here in Turkey, for example, we have capital controls where you cannot buy foreign currency, you cannot send foreign currency out of the country, because when you're using fiat currency, it's controlled by a government, and the government and the banks are all in bed together. The banks don't want to help you. The banks aren't interested in helping you. The banks are interested in helping themselves and are helping their buddies in power. That is the case for Bitcoin. We are unsurprisingly seeing a massive uptick in interest of Turkish citizens who want to get Bitcoin, because they know that with Bitcoin, no one can censor them, no one can stop them. They can get that Bitcoin, they can send money overseas to their families, for example, or they can simply get their money the heck out of Turkey. Whatever they might want to do, it's their decision because they actually control their money. Remember, when you're using fiat currency and you're using banks, you do not control your money. It is the equivalent of not having your private keys here, guys. And on to Bitcoin Cash. Chain splitting bug was detected by a Bitcoin Core developer, and they actually did tell the Bitcoin Cash guys about this. Now that really speaks a lot to the integrity of the Bitcoin developers to look over and say, hey guys, you got this serious bug here. You should have a look at that, instead of just exploiting it as they could have done. Bitmain increasing their Bitcoin Cash holdings to more than 1 million Bitcoin Cash. This is why people are starting to call it Bitmain Cash, because Bitmain is the primary miner of Bitcoin Cash, but they're also the primary holder of Bitcoin Cash, assuming, of course, that, Satoshi's never going to cash his Bitcoin Cash out. But this is, I think, very worrying to see so much of Bitcoin Cash in one hand, essentially. It's really interesting that Bitmain would choose to go so deep into it, to hold so much Bitcoin Cash. Of course, they still hold a lot of Bitcoin as well. I think around 22,000 Bitcoin, according to their statements for their upcoming IPO. But if you have any doubt about Bitcoin Cash and the focus of it, remember, Bitmain controls 1 million of them. So Bitcoin Cash is far from being finished, without a doubt, because Bitmain is a very savvy company. And I think we will see some big runs on Bitcoin Cash in the future. And our final story of the day, in a rare decision, ICO founders will delay their crypto paydays for a decade. This is a story about the Nebulas team. Now, initially, they had a 3-year lockup on their tokens. They've decided to wait 10 years before they cash their tokens out. And I think that's really awesome. And is a good lesson for all of us as investors to take note of, because they are so confident on the future of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. They're so confident on the future of their own blockchain. They're willing not to take a payday for 10 years. That's how confident they are. That's how much they believe in this technology. And when you start to look across the board at all these different crypto projects that are really serious, not the guys who are, the fly-by-night operations, but the ones who are really, really serious about what this technology can offer for the world. We see the hedge funds doing it. We see the ICOs themselves doing it. We see all of this dedication to the future of this technology. The markets will follow eventually, even if today is not the hottest day for the markets. Thanks so much for watching today's episode. Let me know what you think about any of the stories down below in the comment section. Thumbs up the video and share these videos around the internet to help our community grow. Join the conversation over on Twitter. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.